Welcome back to the Family First Entrepreneur Podcast. This is episode 2, and today I want to talk about something. Last week I started testing out something that I've talked about for quite a while. I always say you can run a business in only a few hours a week. Now, I have always run this business more than a couple hours a week. With the exception of times like during the summer where I said, okay, I am not making my business my priority. I am making my family my priority. Or, certain scenarios like that. Other than that, I've always run this business multiple hours a week. When I was doing my photography business, I ran that. I did a lot of that during the 20 years that I did it and only a few hours a week. I did get the most out of my business when I put in more time, but that was also a business where I had to be out there photographing people to make money. And then I had to come back and I had to edit their photos and then I had to upload them and sell them. And it wasn't anything that could take less time. So it depends on the type of business you have. But I did make the most money when I put in the most amount of time. I run my food truck business literally only a few hours a week. So there are types of businesses that you can run only a few hours a week. A little bit of paperwork here and there, some video training that I have to do to get certifications, and then the hours that I have the food truck open. And I have that set up in a way that I only open my food truck when it works for me and my family. Most of the time it is one weekend day a month, one weekend day a week for the summer, and then into the fall and winter when I partner with a local scenic train who does a winter scenic tinsel liner train. And so I do that in only a few hours every week. This business, however, I have never really put in only a few hours a week, but I always tell people you can run a business in only a few hours a week. So I decided to start testing something, and for 30 days, or really 4 weeks, I am running a test, see what I can get done, and if it's possible to really run this business in only 2 hours a week. Now, the key here is having focused time. So I never really knew how much I ran my business or how much I worked my business, because it'd be between loads of laundry, between bringing kids to school and soccer practices, and sitting in the car line for waiting to pick up my daughter from school, or to pick up my son waiting for him to get out of practice, or my daughter to get, out of drama, and at baseball practices, and you name it. I did my business wherever I was, whenever I had a moment. So I never really knew how much time I spent on my business. Now, to me, that's fine. I don't mind doing it in pockets of time, but it's not always the most efficient way. And it is hard for me to say, yes, you can work your business 1 to 2 hours a day and you'll have a successful business, because I haven't really tested it. So that's what I am doing. I am testing out for 4 weeks straight, working 2 hours a day. What can I get done in this business? And the first week already went by, and I'm here starting week 2. It is Monday as I'm recording this. And what I have learned so far is, yes, I believe this is very possible and is actually very successful so far. I feel like I've been getting a lot done. One day before I started, I was about to start a load of laundry, and I was like, ooh, if I start this load, if I put these clothes in the wash machine, I'm going to get an hour into work and I am going to be like, oh crap, I got to go take these out of the wash and put them in the dryer, because if I don't, they're going to start to smell funky. And so I realized, do not start a load of wash before you start your 2-hour business time. I've also figured out that you need to make sure you're in a space where you're not really interrupted. This room is actually my portrait studio, but I have made it into an office as well lately because the office downstairs is a family space and people do what they please in that space. They come and they go, and if I'm working at a time when my kids are home, it is not a very focused place to be. So I didn't really convert it. It's still my studio, but along one wall, I set up my desk setup, and this can be pushed off to the other side where you see behind me there we go, a closet door, and I can just put everything up against the closet door. And so I knew that I needed that focus space to do it where I wasn't distracted by laundry, where the dog wasn't bugging me to take him out or do whatever he needs to be done, where I didn't have kids coming in and out all the time. Now, occasionally they will knock on the door or open the door and come in, and I have a little small whatever needs to be done and be like, okay, can you go? This is my time. This was already set as a room where people are not supposed to go into. This is like the only room in the house that's really kind of like off limits to pets and the rest of the family. So I knew that going in, because I just there's times when I don't get a lot of work done. I get distracted by the TV. I have ADHD, so squirrel. Yeah. I can get distracted easily. And next thing I know, I'm watching the TV, or I am, having to do something for the kids. So this space is a space where I can focus. And I think that is the key to working 2 hours a day. 2 hours consistent focus time. So in order to be consistent as well, I need to prep for my day. I grab a drink. Right now I have a Zevia because I need a little caffeine to keep those migraines at bay. Make sure I am not super hungry. I schedule it at a time, so I don't mind eating until 12:30, 1 o'clock. So if I start at 10:30 and end at 12:30, that's fine. If I start at 10 and end at noon, that's fine. I try to schedule it around things. Now, last week I did have a commitment for some photos that I had to do in the morning, and I did not get back because I had to travel. I did not get back until little after 1. Then I had to eat lunch. Then before I know it, at a couple minutes after 2, the teenagers are home. I have about 20 minutes from when they get home till when I had to get my son to practice and then go pick up my youngest. So that made it struggle. That put me on the struggle bus for that day. Okay. I got about 20 minutes of work in between when I got home, had lunch, and had to leave with my son to get him to football. And then after I brought my daughter home, I was left with having to try to complete the rest of my 2 hours. I had lost all focus. No lie. There was barely any focus left for me at that part in the day. So my part of my test is actually having it 2 focused hours in the morning. And right there already told me that those 2 focused hours in the morning, I often actually like to run an errand when I drop my daughter off at school, run an errand and come back. The problem with that is you are the most focused and the most productive early in the morning or first thing in the morning. And once you start doing all these other things, you start to lose focus, you start to lose your ambition. And so I have tried to do my best to not run those errands. And if I do run those errands, I need to be back and ready to go for my focused 2 hours by 10:30 in the morning, because that's the time that works for me. If you need to be back at 9 a.m. and you need to start your focus time by 9 a.m., I suggest that. If you have an infant that naps and they take about a 2-hour nap, that is perfect. Put them down for a nap. Do your 2 hours. If they do not take a full 2 hours, but they take say a younger infant who might take a morning and an not even infant, but toddler. If they take a morning and an afternoon nap, then do an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. But you need to make sure that as soon as that child goes down for a nap, you step into business role. Or you do a morning nap and then someone else is home later in the day or whatever it is. You need to schedule in those 2 hours of focus time, because after that, you're allowed to life. I literally just got the chills. You are allowed to life outside of those 2 hours. You can do the laundry then. You can play with the little one. You can feed the little one. You can do whatever it is that you need to do outside of it. But during those 2 hours, you are focused. Seriously, guys, I am tearing up. I think that is a game changer for a family-focused entrepreneur. Someone who needs the ability to have flexibility and who needs to life outside of business, right? That's most of the reason that people are family first entrepreneurs, is because they are creating a business for their family, around their family, and not trying to work a job and try to live family outside of that job, right? Working a 40-hour week where you don't get home until 5:30, you drop your kid off at daycare at 7 a.m. or whatever it is. You don't have to have kids in order to be a family first entrepreneur, but you get home, say, you leave the house at 7 a.m. You don't get home until 5:30 in the afternoon. And where does family fit into that? Right? Where does family fit into that lifestyle? It's left trying to be fit into the little cracks of business. One thing we always say about my oldest daughter, during the week, our time is making sure that the kids get to and from school. They get to and from wherever after school activity they have. Make sure that they take care of themselves, hygiene, shower, whatever it is they need to do. That they put their laundry away, that they have dinner. We try to do it as a family every night. It's not always possible depending on what the older kids have going on. And then on the weekends, she tends to go with her mother. And it's like, well, we just, we have all this life happening during the week and there's not the quality time. A lot of what family-focused people who have to work a 9 to 5 or a 7 to whatever, and you're left with like these narrow margins of trying to live life. Now, ours is like that because she's often gone on the weekends, but family-focused people, depending if like you work in retail or a service-based industry where you are working weekends, you never know what your schedule could be. That takes away from life. And this 2 hour, to try to bring it back, because I am like just rambling now, to try to bring it back, this test that I am doing of 2 focused hours of work in your business is so important to me, because I believe us family-focused entrepreneurs are doing it. We are entrepreneurs in order to have time with our families, in order to have time to live life and not be a slave to a business. Are there going to be times where we need to work more than 2 hours a day, 5 days a week? Absolutely. There are going to be weeks or days where you are all in and you are going to be communicating with your family. I am going to be in launch mode, or I am going to be in whatever mode it is that you're, promotion mode, event mode, whatever it is, work mode. I am going to be in there from this date to this date, from these hours to these hours. This is what my business needs, but this is not a long-term thing. This is for that moment. The rest of the time, you spend 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever it is you want. But I know that, by doing this test, and I'm already in week 2, and I see that this is possible. So the rest of the time, you get to spend your 2 hours and to do this. Oh, I can't wait to report back to you guys after the 4 weeks is done. But I did want to talk about it today just because I can completely see how this could change people's lives. And the fact that people know that it is possible, the fact that I know that it's possible, that you know it's possible. Like I said, I talk about this all the time. You can run a business in an hour, 2 hours a day. But this is the first time I'm doing it in this business. And I can't wait to report back and make a training and all that on what, oh, my lights just went off. I can't wait. Oh, man, the room gets dark when those shut off. Time out. Hold on 1 second. All right. What was I saying? Right. So I'm going to be making a training after this is all over, after I do my 4 weeks. I'm going to put it all in one place so that everyone can have it and it can be a great resource so that others can make this happen as well. So thank you for listening to episode 2 of the Family First Entrepreneur podcast. See you next week. Bye-bye.